Welcome back to Market It with ATMA, where we share the tips, tools, and strategies to help your business be successful. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Storie, and today we're diving into episode 4, the grow phase, where you learn how to turn leads into lifelong clients. Mr. Bryan Acosta is joining us today, CEO of Advent Trinity. Welcome, Bryan.
Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. And don't forget, this is a live podcast, so feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll answer them throughout the podcast. Yes. So, Bryan, let's begin. Let's start with something you say often. You say many things often, don't you?
I do say a lot of things often.
Mic on Bryan, can we hear you well?
Yep, now we can.
Okay, great. So, you always say the fortune is in the follow-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
What does real lead nurturing look like today?
So the thing about, I always say the fortune's in the follow-up, right? And I always say it a lot because follow-up. And it's something I often repeat over and over and over again. And it's something that Storie here,
sleeps and dreams about.
Yeah, follow up. Did you follow up with this person? Did you follow up with that person? Because the reality is that if you're in sales and you've done sales for a while, and you know that if you're thinking that you're going to call one person and they're going to say yes,
you should be in sales.
No, you should not be in sales. Well, marketing is the same thing, right? And oftentimes when people become very impatient with marketing, it's because they continue to think that marketing, you just snap your fingers, you launch it, you're in the market, people know you, and then the leads just start swarming in. Right.
In a perfect world, that would be great.
In a perfect world, and even when they fill out a form, they think, okay, they're going to come in. No, that's not how it works, right? So 80% of sales require 5+ touch points, but yet 44% of reps give up in the first attempt. Okay,
wow.
So in marketing, it's the same thing. Most people are like, hey, I just want to, leads, and they don't realize how much touch points it actually takes to convert from a prospect into, engaging with your business,
right,
to actually converting and actually coming in.
Okay.
And so what ended up happening is that we forget about the follow-up. We forget about nurturing those relationships. And if you have, like, for instance, us, we have bigger value, revenue that our costs aren't just cheap, right? It's like,
right.
When the service and product is a higher, thank you. When the service and product is actually higher in expense, right? It takes a little bit longer to close the deal.
In any industry, right?
And that's just natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, because there's a lot more involvement and a lot more thinking about it. And especially if you're B2B, which, B2C and B2B are two different things. But if you're not if you don't have multiple touch points set up in place to nurture those relationships. So, do you have email marketing campaigns to be sent out so you're in their email mailbox, especially if they inquired, right?
Right.
Do you have like text message capabilities where you can be in their phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have retargeting ad campaigns so that you're actually in front of them? Is your social profiles can it do like automatic direct messages, which we have LinkedIn and stuff like that?
Yes.
You're trying to be everywhere. We call it omni-channel marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But and this is a term that a lot of digital marketers use, is omni-channel. You're trying to be everywhere so that they don't forget you. Right.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna say things that people already know about, which is people buy from people they know, like, and trust. Right.
Very true.
And so you're trying to get the prospect from getting to know you, which we did in the launch phase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We did all of that in the launch phase. Now we're trying to get them engaged.
Right.
Okay. We're trying to get them to like you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In a very strategic way that allows them to go up the ladder and say, okay, I'm ready. But you have to grow and you have to nurture those relationships. So there's, we talked about this morning in a marketing meeting.
We did.
The 5 steps to the customer journey. So if you're taking notes back there, if you're listening to this podcast and you're taking notes, there are 5 touch points in the customer journey. It's awareness, engagement, conversion, delight, and advocation.
Right.
And so if you're moving the customer, they become aware of your business. They okay, hey, this is what I do. They engage.
Right.
They like, they comment. They could be on the website just watching videos. They could just be reading content. They could go to the website, view a couple of things. They're engaging They're just not inquiring yet. They're not ready for
Right.
for
They've
whatever.
taken the time to go to the website at least, right?
Exactly. So they're engaging, but they're not converting it. Happens a lot. It happens a lot. In fact, we talked about this in the last podcast that only 3% of traffic going to the website converts across the board. Sometimes even lower. Sometimes less than 1%. That's some crazy numbers.
But you want to stay in front of those that did not convert, right? Is what you're saying?
Exactly. So you want to stay in front of them. So how do you do that? Well, do you have retargeting campaigns? So what is a retargeting campaign?
What is that? Yeah.
So let's say you go to a website, and this happens all the time. I go to a website, or I'm even speaking, and now we have like AI and audio retargeting where I say something, and the next thing you know, I'm on social media, and it's already, like, these things are listening to you, okay?
100%.
I mean, we're probably going to be canceled for saying that, but these things are listening to you. These devices are listening to you. So, you know, I might be thinking about this new video game that came out, and next thing you know, Nintendo's, you know, target marketing me. They do that really good, by the way, very, very well. And other businesses do the same thing. Like, if you're talking about these certain things, they're retargeting. So do we have retargeting ads set up for behaviors and triggers? But also, if you go to a website, and then when you go to a website, you jump off and you're on social media, you're on YouTube, and all of a sudden it's like, bro, like, this business knows where I'm at. That's called retargeting ads, right?
Right. So let's take it a step further. So when it comes to growing your customer base, what CRM tools or systems do you recommend, especially for the small business owners?
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ones out there, and then, like, shameless plug, we're building our own. It's called Nuvio. It's coming out in November.
Ooh, that was a sneak peek. I didn't even know we were announcing.
Yes, so it's a shameless plug. We're coming out in November. Our very own CRM is coming out, but there are other CRMs that are currently out there in the market right now. Some really good ones. HubSpot is what we are, partners with as well as an agency, and we support and we help people set up, right?
We help them set up and navigate it.
Exactly. I like that one. There's a very popular one called Go High Level, which is a very good for startups and businesses and things of that nature.
Okay.
Active Campaign is another good one, and MailChimp are another good one as well. So I would say if I'm starting off, I would take a look into what you're trying to accomplish first.
Okay.
The thing about CRMs is they all work differently, and they all have different purposes. Even the one we're designing ourselves and developing ourselves may not be the right fit for like a full suite like sales team.
Right.
But for instance, HubSpot is impeccable when it comes to navigating a sales team and marketing. Right.
Okay.
Go High Level is good for small businesses. That really kind of like a one-man show. The owner's kind of in charge, and they just really want to see some where things are going with their marketing and advertising and things of that nature. But the most important thing is, do we have email marketing? Okay, because that's what we're talking about in the grow phase, is ensure we know where those leads are coming from, what channels. But we also have email and text message marketing campaign strategy.
Yes.
Because we want to be able to nurture and tell people what's going on in our businesses information using email marketing campaigns. For instance, we have tons of people that inquire about our services. And they might not be on this podcast right now, but they're going to get an email saying, hey, we just did a podcast.
Right.
And they've already gotten an email saying, hey, we're shooting a live podcast. Here it is. You can join us live. But they're also seeing, hey, we just went live. Go view the podcast. And so what does that do? Like, and we talked about this too. Like, the podcast is in the conversion phase. So we got awareness, engagement, conversion, delight, advocation.
Yes.
I almost lost myself just now. So in the conversion phase, the number one thing that helps a conversion is trust.
100%.
It is the brand trust. It's the product trust. It's the service trust. Well, you have all these emails, but you have all these phone numbers, but for whatever reason, they're just still not converting. Okay. So it goes back to email, text message, but also content marketing.
Interesting.
Okay?
Why is that?
Content marketing is important because you're educating, right?
Okay.
You're educating the consumer of how your product works, why it matters.
Is that before or after they ask about it?
That's after they ask about it.
Okay.
It might be in between. So, because they're asking about it in their heads too, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not always I'm asking about it and then I inquire. They might be asking questions, and that's the reason they haven't inquired, is because they don't know how this thing works.
Right.
And so how do you educate them? Well, you got to be able to get the right content in front of them. For instance, in our website, right? And so, if they're looking for SEO packages, we want to gear content to those people that are searching for SEO stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So we want content that's in front of them, the right content.
Right.
Okay. So all these puzzles, the puzzle pieces, the email marketing, the text message marketing, the content marketing, go back into place about the retargeting. Because what are you trying to do? You're trying to stay in front of them with the right type of content.
Because if you stay in front of them, I mean, I know me, sometimes I'm not ready to buy right then, but I know I'm interested. But if someone does stay in front of me 2 months later, when I can take the option to actually follow through, I want you to be there, because if not, somebody else is, right?
And what's funny about you just said it is you do that. 80% of the world does that.
Right. Absolutely. So tell us, can you give us a little sneak peek? What's the number one thing small businesses, based on your experiences, miss when it comes to retaining customers?
So retaining customers, most 68% of customers leave because they don't. They think the business doesn't care about them. Even marketing isn't just getting the lead. That's why it's called the grow phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got delight and advocation.
Okay. Email
marketing and text message marketing, retargeting ads work in all avenues: conversion, delight, and advocation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you're not working the group, if you're not working your customers, and you're not being in front of them and giving them resources and education, even if they're customers, they'll leave if they don't feel that you care about them, right?
Appreciate what revenue you've brought in.
Well, yeah, and then brand loyalty.
Absolutely.
Even with a retail company, the businesses that make it are the ones that have brand loyalty. They become advocates. And so how do you get a customer, a prospect, once they become a customer, to be excited? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I always talk to this about when I'm helping onboard customers as well. I'm helping customers really sit down and think about, okay, what happens after you? Do you have any, it's not just digital marketing, it's promotional goods, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have welcome packets? Do you have thank you cards? Do you have onboarding packets or welcome promotional goods like t-shirts? You make them feel a part of the brand.
Absolutely. Right? You want them to be a promoter of everything.
Exactly. And so carrying around, I think it's the plug. There we go. When they're carrying around, your water bottle, when they're carrying around your t-shirt, they're wearing your t-shirt, when they're wearing your bags, I mean, they're out there promoting, and they feel good about it. The biggest mistake that a lot of businesses make when they do promotional goods, and this happens all the time, is promotional goods is actually sold wrong all the time.
Okay? Why is that? Because
promotional goods, the historical part is, hey, I'm going to do a trade show, and I'm going to get a promotional goods, and I'm going to go out there and do my thing, right? And when they go home, they got this bag of promotional goods,
mm-hmm.
and they forget about it, right?
Yes, I think mine's still hanging in my bedroom.
Exactly, but if you did your marketing right, and they were actually inquiring, and they came back home with a promotional good, or they became a customer, they have a water bottle, or maybe something that sits on their desk, or maybe a T-shirt, right?
A mouse pad, right?
A mouse pad, a mouse pad. They're still thinking about you, so that's another way for you to retarget, right? And get them back on the website. You know what? I did talk to Advent Trinity Marketing Agency at that show. I did talk to Storie at that networking event, and oh my gosh, I won that prize, and I do need to talk to them, right?
Absolutely.
Marketing is about being in front of them, and if you're only doing it the old school way, which is the direct mailers and then promotional goods, and you've gotten referrals, and that's great, but the other competitors are being in front of them as well using digital. You kind of have to have both, and it's kind of crazy. That's why we shifted over from saying that we're a digital marketing firm to saying we're a marketing agency.
Yes,
right?
It's a huge variation, huge difference.
It is. And so we take a look at each component, because promotional goods do work if strategically utilized, right? Direct mailers do work as well if strategically utilized, right? So what's the goal? I mean, at the end of the day, it's about data. Even if you did direct mailers, where are you trying to get them? You're trying to get them to the website. Why are you trying to get them to the website? So you can do retargeting ads and that they can inquire. Why are you trying to get them to inquire? So you can do email marketing campaigns, because you need to be in front of them over and over and over and over again. And if I say, okay, you know what? I do want to take the next step.
So to that point, now that you're getting a little more specific, can you break down the nurture strategy? How many touch points, because you say we have to stay in front of them, what kind of messages are we talking about, and how many touch points do you really need to have? Are we saying 30? Are we saying 5? What is the variation?
So you need at least anywhere from 7 to 12 touch points. Some would even argue 15. Okay, but kind of just a median is like 7 to 12 touch points.
Okay.
So what kind of drip campaigns are you and this goes to any outbound marketing, like Storie is now starting to think about her life and why we do things and the way we do it now, because she's having PTSD of her cells, right? So when she does follow-ups,
That's a good problem.
Yep, when you do follow-ups, what do I say? Email, call, email, call, email, call, LinkedIn, call, email, LinkedIn, call, right? And it's like multiple touch points. Well, in the in the digital marketing landscape, it could do something like this. I'll give you a couple of examples of how you could nurture and grow a relationship.
Okay.
So first, I could do a direct mailer or a mail piece, and I could send it over to and this is just like sales 101 here, okay? I can send it over to a business, maybe a care package, maybe do a promotional good, and they get like a notepad or notebook or something like that and say, hey, there's a note saying we'd like to talk to you about your digital marketing, yada, yada.
Right.
They have some sort of QR code, try to get them to the website. Next thing you know, you go B2B, you do old school, and you go visit them.
Okay.
And yeah, right. But before you go visit them, you email them because you have their email, or let's say you don't have their email. So what happens is if you don't have their email, you go visit them. You do the store visit, and you knock on their door, and they still don't answer. The owner has their gatekeeper, and they're like, man, this business is just relentless. So next thing you know, that business owner's like, who is this person, or who is this business? Then they go to the website.
Ooh, so that's kind of the hook. I mean, you've engaged them enough to where they want to go and see what you're about.
So then they go to the website. Who is this person? What do they do? So then you go to the website, and once you're on the website, okay, all right. So then they're on Facebook, and then next thing you know, you come. So it's like, okay, I've got to know. You guys are relentless. Like, what? Why? I mean, you're going to get people always mad. I mean, that's just the nature of marketing and advertising.
Well,
and
you not
sales.
so much go in every time trying to sell to them. Maybe that second touch point is just to say, hi, I wanted to introduce myself with no expectation, right?
If you do it strategic enough and less salesy enough, the methodology could be beneficial. And then you're going to be like, okay, I've got to know what you're doing because I need to do it for myself. Like, and this is part of the program, right?
We have a lot of clients that say that, actually.
All the time. They're like, man, how did you? I just see you everywhere. Dang it. And so, no, it's really important that that you're in front of people multiple times. I mean, because, and even with, and let's just, this happens all the time. Think about, because I used to work in the health and wellness industry. I used to think about the gym, because I used to work in a gym, and we would get a lot of web leads, and then we would call those web leads to schedule an appointment.
Okay.
To come utilize their 5-day pass. And then from there, we would just follow up. And then even when, back in the day, we had to confirm the appointment. Call to confirm the appointment.
Right.
All right. And then there was only email. Nowadays, you got text message marketing campaigns. You got email marketing campaigns. There's multiple ways for you to increase the show rate. And of course, we're talking about growing and selling, but if you notice, right, that's the end game goal for the business is I want more revenue. So where does the revenue come? It comes from the sales. It doesn't come from the marketing.
Right.
Yeah. So the marketing job is to get them engaged and get them aware and get them to inquire. And then from there, the marketing's job is to support the sales team with any kind of automation that's possible to be able to nurture and get them in the door to the business.
With that being said, Bryan, let's talk channels. Is email marketing really still alive? I know I have a ton of junk email. And what are you seeing right now in 2025 that works best, and on what channel? So
I got some data here because, I mean, it's so important. And 25 data shows that, your ROI from email marketing is still, $32 to $42 per ROI per $1 on email.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly?
So that means that, it's cheaper. right?
It's cheaper for the email marketing, and it's still working, is what you're saying.
It's still working. It's shorter. It's mobile optimized for emails. Now with the new technology of email marketing campaigns, you can do visuals, you can do video emails, you can do all kinds of stuff. But people are still reading their emails, right? And they have to, because that's how they subscribe to things. That's how they cancel things. And so, but once again, you have to be careful, because everybody's like, I want to go into email marketing, but they don't have a database. There are laws, right? Even with text message marketing as well.
Very much.
A lot of people get into this problem where they know that it's more affordable, which is why they want to get into it. So they'll buy a list, and then they'll get themselves into even more problems, because what they don't realize is that they're blacklisting their emails because people didn't really inquire, right?
Oh, okay. So those warm leads that do inquire, they're automatically.
Which is why I don't ever tell people, hey, go buy a bunch of emails and we'll go ahead and email blast. No. So what you want to do is you still want to go. It goes back to the customer journey, right?
Right.
The customer journey is what? Awareness. How do they become aware of you? Well, they became aware of you by you doing Facebook ads, radio ads, television ads. You can do traditional ads, direct mailers. No matter, you just find a way to be.
You've enticed them enough to make them want to inquire, right?
Exactly. You're just trying to get their attention.
Okay.
You get them engaged. How do you get them engaged? You get them to the website. You get them to your social media pages. Mm-hmm. So everything is starting to come into transition, flourishing here. Did you go back and did you strategize? Mm-hmm. Did you build the right assets? Did you build the right videos, photography, the videography, the graphic design, the website? Did you framework it and have you continuously optimize it to launch into the market, right? So we launch into the market. During the launch of the market, you're trying to do that. You're trying to get emails. You're trying to get phone numbers. You're trying to get pixel tracking, Facebook pixel,
interesting,
Google tracking, now TikTok tracking, pixels, all these codes that track user flow. Why? To get in front of them again. Your end game goal should be, hey, I just need their email, phone number. Okay? Yep. Because the more emails and phone numbers, there's so many things you can do with the email phone number. So for instance, on Facebook, if you have enough emails and phone numbers, you can create lookalike audiences and target them.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And so you can target them directly, and you can create lookalike audiences. So on Facebook, Instagram, if I had enough emails and phone numbers, real ones, by the way, because it doesn't make sense for you to purchase fake ones. And
ones that they've given you, right?
Well, then what happens, because this happened before, somebody say, hey, here's a list. And then next thing you know, like, you look at the data on Facebook, and then people are like in Bangladesh, and and it's because they're fake emails and phone numbers.
Which is a waste of time for everyone, right?
Exactly. So the most traditional way is to find a way to have content engaging enough to get people's emails, phone numbers, right? Doing free trials and things of that nature. You have enough of those that you're able to, that you're able to say, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and retarget them. And now I have a true list.
Absolutely.
We're going to do some Facebook and Instagram retargeting ads, or TikTok retargeting ads, or what have you.
Right,
and
but
so,
you can't do retargeting until, like I said, our very first episode, that strategy, understanding where your audience is. It all encompasses each other to bring it back around.
Yeah, it's all about data. And the big thing is, it really goes back to ensuring that you're optimizing that build phase. Because if people aren't engaging, you launch and you're not getting enough emails, you're not getting enough phone numbers, and you're just like, hey, look, they're very quick to say, it's Facebook's fault, it's Google's fault. That data tells you, hey, let's go back to the content.
Yep.
Right. Let's go back to the website. Let's go back. Let's figure out why they're not engaging. Data tells everything.
Absolutely. So tell me now, we've got the data. You're saying email marketing is still there and retargeting. So what about automation? How can businesses personalize their follow-up at scale without sounding robotic or fake? Because that's a hard, before I came and started working with you, that was a really hard part. I don't want them to think I'm spamming them. I want to give them something they can use, right?
Mm-hmm. So I guess it really depends on the goal and what you're trying to accomplish. For you to not, there are certain things that you say to everyone.
Of course.
Right? It doesn't matter who they are. Right? And so if you can figure out, okay, what am I saying over and over and over again to multiple prospects, it's the same thing, then it's not going to sound robotic. For instance, if this is a prime example, I get emails all the time. Replies back, by the way, when people schedule an appointment and they don't realize they're getting hit up with automatic emails, they think I'm truly emailing them.
I get it all the time. Well, Bryan sent me an email.
Yeah, Bryan sent me an email. No, that's automation, but it sounded real. Yep.
Because you put some thought into that response.
Exactly.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, you put some thought in your automations, and you make it sound as authentic as you can and as possible. Mm-hmm. Now, if you got cold leads, if you got warm leads, or anything like that, where you're trying to re-engage them, providing them resources, right? This actually goes back to content marketing and the website. So the website, once it's built, it's not completed. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest mistake that people make when they get into marketing. They think, hey, I'm just going to build a website and they will come. It's not like that. It's a machine, and you got to keep on growing.
It's ever growing and changing, right?
So once you build the website, you have the foundation. Well, the content marketing, as you're growing, nurturing, is now you're thinking about how can you nurture the customer. And if you don't mind, let me get into more detail right here before we get into it.
Absolutely.
So this is good for us. Let's just take up a marketing firm, okay? Mm-hmm. So we built the website. We've got the services. That's great. But now we have people asking questions. Well, how do you do this and how do you do that? Mm-hmm. So you provide a resource center, basically. FAQs. All of this is a part of the content marketing. FAQs, asking questions, maybe articles, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe if you're in the health and wellness, right?
Yeah.
You have a product that is new, okay? You would want to start creating content specific to maybe symptoms that that your product service provides that solves right?
For you, right?
And so you provide real resources on answering questions that people are asking about those. And so, are you building a resource center that your salespeople can utilize? Right?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes what happens, and this has happened to you too, right? Like people get questions all the time about, well, how does this work? And how do you do that? And, and do you have the right resources to say, hey, check this out. Check this customer, portfolio out. Mm-hmm. Or, hey, have you read this ebook that kind of walks you through the customer value funnel, which is a free ebook. So we do ebooks, right? This right here mm-hmm. is a resource, right? Absolutely. That you're always out there. Hey, you had a lot of questions about follow-ups and why the website's never done. Absolutely. Well, how about you listen to this podcast where Bryan talks about why you need to continuously do content marketing. What is content marketing? Well, if your customers are still on the fence and they're still not converting for whatever reason, mm-hmm. are your salespeople equipped with resources to send to them? Absolutely. And are you guiding them back to the website to do SEO, right? So all of this, you can kind of see it's a machine.
No, I would have to agree with you 100% because anyone that reaches out, say a form and wants a consult, so I can't meet with them right away. So usually we have to schedule a meeting, right? Mm-hmm. If I get a notification that someone wants to schedule a meeting, I immediately send them a FAQ link via mm-hmm. email so that they have some ideas of what we do and how we do it prior to our call, which ultimately helps me convert at the end of the day because then they see the legitimacy, mm-hmm. right, at the end of the day of what we do and how we do it.
Well, and if they're struggling with something and they're like, well, I'm really struggling with XYZ. I just don't understand why people aren't inquire with me. Well, have you read this customer value journey, or have you read the customer value funnel, right? Mm-hmm. So it's an ebook that we have on our website, and it walks you through kind of what we did for multiple businesses, Nuvodesk, our business, even the software company, like what does that funnel look like and how do we get them engaged enough to convert, right?
Absolutely. So one last question before we start our Q&A. You help companies double their revenue. I mean, I've seen you do it many times just through nurture campaigns. Can you share a real world example of that? Yeah,
Nuvodesk, right? We talked about that in the last one. So Nuvodesk, we had quite a bit of emails and they just weren't being nurtured. And the next thing you know, we did events. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy? Okay, here's a crazy thing. So we actually, Nuvodesk actually had a bunch of virtual mail. They just have virtual mail. They're paying maybe $50 to $60 a month mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
for virtual mail, but all they use is the mailbox. They don't use the conference room, but they didn't even know that all of this existed. In fact, we get it all the time. They come in here, wow, You guys have a pocket conference rooms, right? So our goal is we email them and saying, hey, come network with us.
Absolutely.
So you have to entice them. So we got them to come network, and all of a sudden they're like, I didn't know all of this existed. Welcome to NuvoDesk, right?
Absolutely.
You only knew about our virtual mail. Now you know about everything else that we do. So that's another thing is, okay, so I think a few episodes back, we talked about how a customer had their average dollar sale too low.
Yes.
Which is, if you have your average dollar sale, so we talk about how many leads you're getting. That's all marketing, right? We talk about how many conversions you're getting. That's all sales. You talk about revenue, right? And then you talk transactions and average dollar sale. Average dollar sale. If they're not paying enough and you have a wide variety of products and services, is how do you get somebody from a lower paying customer to a higher paying customer?
Yeah.
That's all through nurturing that relationship and nurturing those businesses, right?
The trust level that you've created from the start.
Exactly. And so, upsell strategies. Every business should have an upsell strategy. And if you don't, you're setting yourself up for failure, right? As a business. Because you have to have, this is actually, let me go back to the customer value funnel here, because we actually have an ebook that you should go ahead and go to our website and download, because this is how we've built and scaled multiple businesses, and it's actually a part of the grow phase, right? It's, do you have a product or service? Well, first off, do you have something that's free that people can inquire? A free introductory call, a free ebook, a free podcast to show, a free whatever, right?
Yep.
A free session, free. Okay. Do you have something that is a small value? Small value is, hey, listen.
Your cost is low.
Cost is low, and it's just to get them to try.
Okay.
Okay. So in this case, excuse me, I have this terrible cough. It won't go away. In this case, you have the free. You're trying to do one thing. And it's very simple, is get them from free to paying customer. And you actually don't care how low that is. What you're trying to do is, obviously, it's not going to be making you millions of dollars. That's not the goal of this item. This item is to get them from becoming a prospect to becoming a part of the customer community.
Right.
And once they're a part of the customer community, and sometimes they'll be, all the way to the big items. But now we get them to the next level. Okay, here's XYZ. Now we get them to the next level, right?
So, for instance, if you had a brick and mortar, if they filled out a form, offer them something that's going to get them in front of you at that brick and mortar, right?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
So every business should have this kind of secret funnel, super secret funnel.
Customer secret funnel.
Yeah, I'm not going to give out my secret funnel on podcast, because then the entire world will know and try to take all of our business ideas.
Y'all can call me. I will help.
No, really though. If you download the ebook, some of that's in there. But I try not to give away our secret sauce, right? Because that is the secret sauce. If you go and get the customer value funnel ebook, that is the secret sauce. That's how we've built businesses. And so I'm giving you the secret sauce. You just got to go to the website and download it, and we can retarget you later. So anyways.
So let's move on to questions from our audience, unless you'd like to add anything else, Bryan.
No, I would just say, if you really want to grow your email, if you're struggling to grow your email list, go download the Customer Value Funnel ebook. It's a great resource for you guys to check out, because without the emails and phone numbers, we can't do all the rest of the stuff we talked about today, which at the end of the day is nurturing.
Yeah, that seems like the nurturing part is where the real money is, from what you've explained to us. So let's see what questions our audience has. Our first question is, I've got a bunch of leads just sitting in my CRM. So we know a ton of people that have leads that they don't know what to do with. What's the first thing I should do to re-engage them, is what they're asking. I
think you should start with something free.
Okay.
I think that you should treat them as, customers that have, fallen off, and saying, hey, listen, I got something for free. Here's a free ebook, just a free resource for them to check out to get them re-engaged.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. And then what if when you send out all of those, you get bounce backs or anything like that?
Then that's a great question. Well, you can start cleaning up your list. You can start figuring out how many emails you truly have. And if you have a real strategy to get more.
Oh,
yeah.
Great. response. So the second question we have is, how do I know if I'm following up too much? I don't want to annoy people. And how often should I be emailing my list? Weekly, monthly? So they don't want to annoying anyone, but how often is a good amount?
It all depends on the strategy.
Okay.
It all depends on the content as well. Now, if you're salesy, you were going to make them mad, right?
Salesy meaning, hey, buy this for me today.
Buy this, buy that, buy this, buy that. But if you're like genuinely trying to provide resources and services that will help them with whatever problems they're having, it's not salesy. It's just, hey, here's this free resource, or hey, listen to this. Like for instance, this podcast is a great way. You do email marketing campaigns for a podcast. Here's a new episode, right? Tune into this. Okay, it's a very great way to get them to listen, to get them engaged. And we're not saying right now, like people are viewing right now, we're not forcing them to book and schedule a meeting with us. Like, it's not like, hey, you need to schedule a meeting. We're legitimately trying to help by providing resources.
Absolutely.
Right? And so if this is part of the nurturing, we're hopefully nurturing and educating and helping that business, even if we're not helping them, monetarily.
Okay, so let me expand on that question just a little bit. So you're saying it depends on the strategy. If you haven't gotten a response from somebody and you've been sending them an email every week, should you go to a month-to-month basis, or should you just continue engaging until they say no?
Well, I mean, you're kind of thinking of it like a salesperson,
right,
right?
Of course.
If you're doing sales, you stop and kill it at 15, right?
Okay.
But if you're doing sales emails, I mean, it's every 3 business days, 3 to 5 business days, right? And then you kill it. If you're doing nurturing, you do monthly newsletters, maybe even sometimes weekly tips or resources, announcements. You're providing value for free.
Okay. So you kind of answered our next question, but let me ask just to be safe. What type of content actually gets people to take action? I feel like my emails get ignored.
Yeah. So once again, it's about, have you put yourself in a position of the customer, and have you asked yourself, have you really understood your customers? Because a lot of the time is that businesses don't really understand their customers. They don't understand their pain points. They don't understand the problems that they're having.
Right.
So you have all these emails, okay? And I'm just thinking of health and wellness in my head right now. But because, you want to have if you have all these emails, but they're still not coming in, or maybe they have friends, right? Mm-hmm. Well, why aren't you providing the resource so they can empower them, your advocates, your customers that are already customers, empower them to talk about your product or service to their friend? If your product is solving pain relief, are you sending articles and resources via email to your customer base about arthritis or knee pain? Right. Are you sending them resources so that they empowers them to get you more referrals? Because we all know that referrals are the best and the lowest costs of lead.
Absolutely.
Right?
Referring good business, I'll go with it any day.
And you have to create a cycle, because if you're entrusting and all you're doing is focusing on trying to get new business and launching, you're going to go out of business because you're not looking at the whole picture.
Right. Yeah. They helped me at that time, but then after that, I didn't hear anything from them. You don't feel valued.
Well, it goes back to what? I think it was one of my talking points here. It was like 68% of customers leave because they believe businesses don't care about them. That came from SuperOffice, right? That's the source that we got it from.
Yeah, no one wants to be just another number.
Nobody wants to be just a number, and that's why it's important to nurture those relationships.
Okay, so last question here. They said, I'm just starting out. Should I build my email list first or set up a CRM first?
Oh, yeah, build your email list first, right?
Okay.
There's no point of, you can set up these free CRMs actually, right? You want to have a place of storage one way or another. Some people start with one CRM and move to another, and that's fine as long as you can store the emails, but you build your email list first. You can't email market without having a list first.
Okay, great answers to all the questions. If any of you have any additional questions or need help, this is the final episode of episode 4. The final episode is next week. We'll need you all to join us then, because that's when you really learn the full encompass of what we've all gone over today. Bryan, thank you for being on the show again.
Thank you, guys.
And to all of our listeners out there, keep tuning in, and we'll see you next week.